So, our current tax system has many major problems, and it's beyond that do people get taxed enough or too little. So, I'm going to cover some of them and also problems with the house market and how I think I can fix it, how we can fix it. One of the problems with houses and the reason why people lose the houses all the time is actually government programs and other programs to upgrade the house or to upgrade the house for certain reasons. And this can be making the house more environmentally friendly, which increases the property value, which means the taxes are more. Now they can't pay the taxes and they go in debt, or it increases the mortgage rate. And if they have an increased mortgage rate, now they can't pay back their mortgages. And these programs are promoted by the government and more, and people are tricked into it. Now, how would we fix this problem? Well, very simply, let's tag. Oh, and the other thing is when people make the house more accessible for people with disability, or the neighborhood gets gentrified, so which of people move out and increases the property value when they've been living there the whole time and they get displaced. And both of them are not a person's fault, and they can't control it. So I think it should be a tax based on the footage of the house or livable space per person. That way, people, when they upgrade the house to be more livable, it does not become more expensive. And these programs can make housing more affordable, but making it more energy efficient so people spend less money on energy, safer if you're disabled, something like that. I think that's the first step. Then we might modify it for location at different places have different tax rates, because some places have more expensive properties or less expensive property and average wealth. But I think this is a difficult one, because what if your neighborhood gets gentrified or something like that? So I think this tax rate, if you have to do something like that, it needs to be locked in for a while. I also believe beyond it just being locked in for a while, we need to make sure that it might also still negatively affect the poorest of the folks. So it might be something that we adjust for, we lower it if you're already poor or something like that we lower the rate, and that it's only an increased amount in location if you're actually were one of the newer folks, or you get the new amount based on when you bought the house. So you reset it to the newest rate when you bought the house, and we keep the rate the same relative for when you bought the house. We set it, and of course you have to change the price based on inflation and stuff. I'm just saying the initial rate puts some value measure of inflation. Another one is that we use incentives to make these houses better, and by that I mean we can increase incentives to make the house better and to make them more livable. And when that means people have more disposable income, which they can spend all over places, and this disposable income can go into the economy when they have cheaper, or we can tax more. So this could make the incentive programs a lot more effective in themselves with everything going on, and people don't lose their houses. And if you lose your house is wasting there, no one's using it. You're on the street, and that actually hurts the whole thing, because your house there is still maybe polluting or something in an odd way, because the empty house actually does use up electricity and pollutes. And a person maybe not in best conditions might not be able to invest the best things for life. Now, we can also do the opposite, where rich owners, we make them pay a penalty for having inefficient, bad houses. And then that can promote the rich owners to convert the houses to be better houses. And we can use that money to pay for these incentive programs. Now, a lot of rich houses do have a lot of extra energy and efficiencies that people don't realize, like high voltage ceilings that cause more to heat up, or they use a lot more water, land. So having rich owners specifically tying into like income and other measures, or pay more for inefficiencies in the house, not having the best up-to-date house, wouldn't program it, and would also incentivize this whole industry by getting more people to be trained to make houses more efficient And by having those people more trained, they can fix up other houses for the poor, lower income people. Or just build more buildings like that. The last thing I would add to make this a modified system would be that I think that they should also penalize people for having more than one property if they're distant and they're not living in it, because that property could be given to someone else. We actually have enough houses to house everyone in the US. The problem, more than enough, and most countries do. The problem is that they're too expensive and unaffordable, and this will help lessen these burdens and help spread out the wealth a little more. And once a person has a house, houses take actual money to upkeep if they're empty. But once a person has a house, they become healthier and more capable of work, and that money goes back in economy if you just care about economy. But you should care more about the health and happiness of a person. It also has been shown to reduce crime rates and stuff like that. So another thing would be to get rid of sales taxes, because sales taxes do not promote trade and buying of stuff, but they affect poor people more than rich people, because it's not based on income, so it's not progressive. But poor people buy items that do not put more of the salary into buying physical goods than rich people that will spend more on investments or stuff that there's lower taxes, and they have ways of evading taxes, or they can buy more stuff outside of the US where there isn't a tax or property. And many more, where poor people buy more stuff with sales taxes, like basic food, and it'll be a bigger part of their income, and they're not saving up as much. So it affects them more, so it actually does do it. Now, also sales taxes are somewhat hard to measure and maintain. But I would put an investment tax. An investment tax will stop you from trading too much, and you can use it to control speed, so rich people can't trade with supercomputers or financial firms 1 million times a second or some other ridiculously high number. And this will stop them from just accumulating wealth at a rate faster than the average folks, and even out the competition market, while also promoting stability, because these fast transaction investments are a lot less stable than ones that are done slowly, where people have time to think more logically, respond. They're not in the hands of algorithm. They're not as abstract. There's not as many layers. The faster transactions are more layers and more complicated things you can do, because there's more stuff you can fit in a smaller time chunk. But the more delicate it becomes, you put one thing and the whole thing collapses. Now, also investment taxes on financial things means that people will spend more money on physical things or services and stuff instead of financial instruments, which will help out the greater good more, because it's going to producing stuff. Then I think there should be a simple income tax. Just keep it simple with a simple formula. It will not be the best for everyone, because you might have extra children or a disability that means you have to spend more money in your life or something like that. But the way I figure around that is something very simple, and that is we increase welfare and other benefits where I give out money, so you can keep the income tax simple so people can cheat on it less. A punitive tax, we should make some more punitive tax, and punitive taxes are used to punish bad behavior, the punitive punishment, but it can be taxes on people polluting, or we have tobacco taxes in a lot of places. So on health things and stuff like that. Punitive. Then we have ones on gambling, on weed. Some people argue. Some people don't argue it's not. We can argue both ways. Some of it, but I would say punitive taxes should really focus on environmental bad practices specifically, and then financial bad practices that might ruin the economy or make it unfair for less rich folks, not on drug usage or gambling or behaviors, because those people are usually need more. They're not the rich people that need to be, or big organizations, the more individuals that are suffering addiction, or it's not addiction, it's actually a healthy thing, such as weed can be healthy for some people. I also believe there should be a wealth tax minus the house, because the house is stuff, and maybe minus a little bit with a starting minimum, because I spelled that wrong, word wrong, but we'll ignore that. With a starting minimum, because people need to have some wealth. There should be tax like the wealth in the car, something that they might need, and we can write exceptions that we don't include anything specifically in it that are for a disabled lifestyle, which will be hard to enforce. So I think some of it just needs to be a better welfare to overcome that, but we can do it to some extent. Well, thank you very much for listening. Please like and subscribe. It really helps the channel out. I'm trying to reach 1,000 subscribers in a year and 4,000 watch hours, which is really hard, but with your help, I think I can do it. Also, if you have any ideas for future videos, comments, or suggestions, please leave in the comment section below. Again, thank you very much. Goodbye.